All right, what's up? I am here for my UFC 322 picks. And as you can see here, we got Garcia money line. You might not have seen that video, but you're just gonna have to trust me for it that I put Garcia money line, and we did win that pick. But as you can see here, we're at like what 11.7, 11.8% profit. We're looking to do a whole lot more for UFC 322. And I'm gonna say for almost every fight, I'm gonna have a pick. We at the Shy Guy MMA team have done some extensive research for this card, and we're very excited to see what we have cooking, or to show you guys what we have cooking. So let's start off with this card. Um, we start with. Okay, so actually, before that, let me just explain for all you new viewers. Uh, a pick is where you should put money on. A prediction is just what the Shy Guy MMA team thinks is going to happen. Uh, and also, I've made a significant amount of money doing this outside of the Shy Guy MMA channel. And that's the reason why I'm unemployed and I'm able to do, you know, random crap because I don't have a job and I don't need to work. So yeah, let's get right on into this. So Basanger Susurkayev versus Eric McConico. I'm going to go with Susurkayev money line. Susurkayev is great everywhere. He's a good grappler. He can submit. He can KO. More often than not KO. Eric McConico, who is a jobber. He's 35 years old. You might think he's an explosive black guy, but he's not. He's pretty bad. It's just a bit of a layup for Susurkayev. I am a little bit scared of the fact that Susurkayev is untested. However, I do trust in his ability to crack, to grapple, to be better everywhere than Eric McConico. Maybe not the speed. As I said before, Eric McConico is a African American man. And I'm not just saying that. That's a legit thing. Speed is a pretty big thing in this sport. However, I do trust Basanger Susurkayev to win this fight, so I'm going to say Susurkayev money line. Next, we have Angela Hill versus Fatma Klein, 18 and 15. Fatma Klein's winning. She's 25 years old. She's very green at the moment, except for Jusidovich's loss, which is okay. That happens to everyone. So I'm gonna go with Angela Hill. Sorry, not Angela Hill. Fatma Klein by decision, due to the fact that Angela Hill is very, very hard to finish. I don't think she's ever been finished, actually. Maybe one submission. But she's got a great chin. She's got great movement. She's good enough scrambling where she won't get submitted. Fatma Klein is just going to put on the pace. She's going to be quicker. She's going to have a little more pop to her shots. Not enough to take her out, obviously. And I think her scrambling is going to be a little less old, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to say Fatma Klein by decision. And next we have Pat Sabatini versus Chepe Mariscal. Now, we at the Shy Guy MMA team have done some extensive research on this fight. Pat Sabatini, who is the slight favorite, mainly because of the fact that he recently beat Joe Anderson Brito, a very game Joe Anderson Brito, but in a way that didn't really impress me all that much. It was a domination, but in a way that was, oh, that's the hole in Joe Anderson Brito's game. Chepe Mariscal has very good takedown defense. It's about 75%. He also has amazing pressure. He goes to the decision a lot. Pat Sabatini also is not very easy to finish. But Pat Sabatini he gets a lot of finishes, mostly in the grappling in terms of submissions, but he's got some KOs too. Chepe Mariscal has an insane pressure game, whereas Pat Sabatini is more of a little bit slow, smudgy, really conserves his gas tank until he needs it. Chepe Mariscal is going to be in his face, and Chepe Mariscal is very green, whereas Pat Sabatini has not recently, but at UFC 300 got KO'd by Diego Lopez, and that was stiff. He got stiffened by him. Chepe Mariscal, he's gotten knocked out by people like Steve Garcia, and that happens to everyone. Let's be honest here. I'm going to say, because of the very, very like one-sided stand-up game. The pressure, the significantly better uh, gas tank, as it seems, uh, of Chepe Mariscal. I'm gonna say that Chepe Mariscal takes it as an upset over Pat Sabatini. Now we're wondering if we're gonna pick by decision or by um, what do you call it? By decision or by like money line. I'm gonna be honest. I have absolutely no clue, and rather we at the Shy Guy MMA team have no clue. So we're gonna have an interesting thing, and we might start doing this more as of now. We're gonna do both money line and by decision. Chepe Mariscal wins by money line and by decision. As my pick. Actually, I forgot to have a pick for Susurkaev, or rather, a prediction for Susurkaev versus Makonico. I'm just gonna say Susurkaev by KO. That's my prediction, not my pick. However, this fight is interesting. GM3 obviously can, well, like 60 fights, and is an older guy, and he has the ability to fluke, a little bit like Kyle Dawkins in a way. I'm a little bit scared of the fact that Kyle Dawkins, he might have been in that scandal with Michel Pereira in terms of the fact that because Michel Pereira really should have beat him, but got KO'd. And Michel Pereira was very good at some point, and he just got KO'd by a short notice Kyle Dawkins. A little bit interesting situation. However, I do think that even still, Kyle Dawkins is a significantly better fighter than GM3, especially at 32 years old, faster. He's not exactly bigger. GM3 is actually pretty big, but he's a little bit taller. He's got muscles in the right places, whereas GM3's got the only thing that's working in his crafty veteran head, right? His brain. But he's got no head movement. And Kyle Dawkins has shown he does have good power. And I'm not sure if GM3 is going to get knocked out, but Kyle Dawkins will be able to push a pace. He's younger. He's a little more green. So I'm going to say Kyle Dawkins money line. And I'm going to predict that Kyle Dawkins will win by decision. Next we have Cody Haddon versus Malcolm Wellmaker. Another fight where the team has been back and forth with, fence sitting, if you will. However, we're going to have to go with Malcolm Wellmaker. Money line. Malcolm Wellmaker is a very fast fighter, as we've seen before. And his shots are powerful, but it's not power in the way that it's like Conor McGregor, where you have naturally incredible power, like the touch of death kind of deal. Whereas Malcolm Wellmaker has a little more of the Joe Pyfer or even the Ilia Topuria type of power, where he really swings for the fences to get it. I mean, like, it doesn't seem like it with the hooks, right? But if you look back, look into it, Malcolm Wellmaker is throwing really hard. Like, he's extending his arm back and then going forth into Chris Moutinho's face. Cody Haddon is a good fighter. He's got solid grappling. He's got solid head movement, I guess, but it's more of like the killer be killed kind of, throw caution to the wind kind of style, which I think Malcolm Wellmaker will be able to capitalize on. Cody Haddon is pretty easy to hit, and I've seen a lot of his fights, even the ones in the regional scene. It's tough to see like what he's gone through, and he's eaten a lot of shots, and that's not the type of thing that Malcolm Wellmaker will be easy on. Malcolm Wellmaker is definitely going to make him pay for eating shots. Malcolm Wellmaker is, I think he's faster. He's got a longer reach. He's a better striker. And Cody Haddon is a striker, but he might implement the grappling, which is the one part that I'm a little bit scared of. Malcolm Wellmaker is untested in the grappling, whereas Cody Haddon is definitely tested. He's fought against Steve Erceg back in the day, and Erceg won by decision. Just 2 rounds where he caught him on the ground, basically, and was scrambling with him. But Cody Haddon was able to scramble actually very well against a very game Steve Erceg. But I don't think that's going to be a super significant factor. Like I said, this is uh, this is obviously UFC fights, and UFC fighters don't always do what you want them to do. So I'm gonna expect Cody Haddon to just turn it on and expect his hands to do the work, and Malcolm Wellmaker will be able to shut him down. I'm a little bit scared of the fact that Malcolm Wellmaker might not be able to just take him out, might just rock him a little bit. So I'm just going to say Malcolm Wellmaker money line. But I'm going to predict that he takes it via a knockout, a nasty knockout. And next we have Erin Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez. Interesting fight. Tracy Cortez, I think she moved the sports books a lot just because of how popular she is, because she's a good-looking woman, whereas Erin Blanchfield has zero marketability. But I do think that Erin Blanchfield will win this. Erin Blanchfield had a good 5-rounder against Rose Namajunas, where she was able to edge out the last 3 rounds. If it was a 3-rounder, she would have lost. But Blanchfield has very, very good cardio. And Tracy Cortez is tough. But I do think that Erin Blanchfield's ability to just get someone on their back is a lot better than Tracy Cortez, where Tracy Cortez a lot of the times is looking for opportunities to take down and looking for opportunities to take control and maybe even submit. Obviously, she's a decision machine, so not really. But Tracy Cortez is really looking for opportunities to smudge, whereas Erin Blanchfield will create opportunities in the form of takedowns, in the form of scrambles, in the form of clinches. And I do think that Erin Blanchfield is a much stronger woman at flyweight, and Erin Blanchfield beat Rose Namajunas, whereas Tracy Cortez really got dominated. Wasn't really able to do anything to Rose, right? No takedowns, no nothing against Rose, whereas Blanchfield was really able to just drag her down, you know? So I'm going to say Erin Blanchfield by decision. It's hard to say that she will win by a finish because Tracy Cortez is pretty... She doesn't go to the distance anywhere, right? When win or loss, it's a decision. So I'm going to say Erin Blanchfield by decision. That's my pick and prediction. And next we have G-Rod versus Roman Kopylov. Gregory Rodriguez, a great fighter. We've seen what he can do, and he does it very well. Just KO people. Maybe go to the distance every once in a while. But Roman Kopylov is not an easy person to finish. We've seen the fight with Paulo Costa. Costa was really winding up on a lot of his body kicks and the shots. And obviously, Paulo Costa doesn't have a lot of power in his hands, but I don't think that's actually very true. Paulo Costa does have pretty good power in his hands. He just doesn't swing as hard. But he does have naturally okay power. And Roman Kopylov was just taking everything. He was able to just go forward still. Gregory Rodriguez is a ginormous human being, however, who has KO power. And I am a little bit skeptical of the, what do you call it? Jared Cannonier versus Rodriguez fight. Jared Cannonier was rocked for 1 round, and then Gregory Rodriguez decided to do nothing. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that was a very representative fight for who Gregory Rodriguez really is. I think Gregory Rodriguez has okay cardio, and I don't think it's half a round. And he literally didn't do anything. It was like he didn't seem visibly that gassed, but Gregory Rodriguez was really just like doing literally nothing. His hands were up. That's it. So I do think that was a bit of a strange fight, and I think they might have been approached by those guys. And I'm not trying to make any accusations, even like this whole time. No accusations. This is all jokes. But I do think that Gregory Rodriguez will be able to beat Roman Kopylov. I'm going to say money line because Roman Kopylov is a tough guy and he's tough to finish. But I'm going to expect Gregory Rodriguez's ginormous frame, his physicality to be able to take over Roman Kopylov. And Kopylov can just sit on the outside and just like tag him up. But I do think Gregory Rodriguez will be able to, if he lands 1, it'll equal to 5 of Kopylov's shots. And I do think that that'll actually matter a lot. I'm going to say Gregory Rodriguez money line. I'm going to predict that he wins by KO, however. I want to see Roman Kopylov lose and Gregory Rodriguez make it to the rankings. And also, recently, what's his name? Christian Leroy Duncan won a pretty good upset. And that fight, Gregory Rodriguez actually pretty well dominated. So, yeah, Gregory Rodriguez, money line. And next we have Bo Nickel versus Rodolfo Vieira. I think this is a pretty easy fight to predict. There's only one way Rodolfo Vieira wins, by submission. Bo Nickel is a better striker. He's not a good striker. He's a better striker. Don't get me wrong. He's got better cardio. He's got better grappling. Or not grappling, but wrestling. He'll be able to just smudge him to a top position. Rodolfo Vieira is old. He's slow. He has no striking. So I'm going to say Bo Nickel money line. Because Rodolfo Vieira very well could be finished like on the feet. Bo Nickel does have good power, and he did have pretty good wins. I forgot who he had a good win against, but he actually like knocked him out pretty nicely. Actually, I'm gonna change my pick. Bo Nickel by decision. I think this is gonna be similar to Paul Craig, where Paul Craig had the only option was taking a Hail Mary submission, and Bo Nickel didn't want to take that risk. And he fought a very smart fight and just threw overhands and did nothing. So I'm going to say Bo Nickel by decision over Rodolfo Vieira. So next fight, we move on to the main card. Benoit Saint Denis versus Beneil Dariush. I think this is a strange fight to predict because Beneil Dariush was good, and he was very good at some point in like a 10-fight win streak or something. And Benoit, we still don't know how good he is because he lost to what's his name? Moicano, but then just beat Mauricio Hufi. But how good is Mauricio Hufi? You know, that's the issue. But I do trust Benoit Saint Denis. I think he's actually a lot better than people think he is, and even was. Even though I did predict that Mauricio Hufi would win, we all did, to be honest. Benoit, he's still very good. He's a very, very, or rather his, maybe not skill-wise, but his style is hard to do. It's hard to go against. He just goes forward. And I don't know if Beneil has the same power like he did before. Beneil didn't look great against Moicano. So I'm going to say Benoit Saint Denis. Beneil Dariush, his chin is gone. But Benoit recently has been getting good submissions. And I'm not sure how crazy his power is. So I'm just going to say Benoit Saint Denis money line over Beneil Dariush. I'm going to predict that he takes it by unanimous decision, however. So next we have Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates. Now the team has been incredibly thorough with this fight in terms of research, and we've gone back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. How good is Leon Edwards? That's the question. Because it seems like he was good at some point. And how bad is Carlos Prates? Because you just beat Jeff Neal. And he was getting a little tagged up. Until he got that spinning elbow in the last second. Which is the one thing that I think Carlos Prates has big over Leon Edwards. Is his power. He's got a lanky frame and huge power. Carlos Prates is a very good striker, but he has been outstriked by someone like Ian Gary. And Ian Gary isn't exactly a great striker, but he's a very smart fighter. His fight IQ is incredibly high, whereas Carlos Prates is mostly a Muay Thai fighter. Therefore, his fight IQ in MMA, it's not always there, unfortunately. Leon Edwards is very experienced. His fight IQ is very questionable, however. I am going with Leon Edwards by unanimous decision. I'm gonna pick that Leon Edwards takes it by decision. I know that sounds like I'm coming out, but I think this card is profitable enough to where we can take risks like this. Leon Edwards was at one point a very green fighter, whereas Carlos Prates has shown like big holes in his game. And I think the approach that Ian Gary took to the fight against Prates, Leon Edwards can do that, and he's been doing that, where he can just point fight on the outside and maybe look to clinch and grapple with Carlos Prates. Leon Edwards doesn't have a lot of heart, but neither does Ian Gary. I think that if Leon Edwards takes an approach similar to Ian Gary, he will be able to win a decision, and especially because it's not a 5-rounder, where Ian Gary was a little gassed and he did get hit by a really big shot that put him down. But I do think that Leon Edwards is able to. He can do this, right? I think we're gonna see a y'all must have forgot type of performance against Carlos Prates. So we're gonna go with Leon Edwards by decision over Carlos Prates. And next we have Michael Morales versus Sean Brady. I'm going to go with the underdog once again, Michael Morales. Sean Brady's a good fighter, but seeing him get rocked by Bilal, it shows that his chin is not great and his gas tank might not always be there. Michael Morales hits hard. I rate him very highly. He hits hard. He was able to shut down what's his name? Gilbert Burns, and Burns went 5 rounds with Brady. What does that say about Brady? Whereas Michael Morales, 2 minutes, slumped. Michael Morales is a hard hitter. He's significantly younger. He's taller. He's got good takedown defense. 18 fights. He's pretty experienced. Sean Brady, 19 fights, lost 1, however. And I do think that the undefeated fighter plot armor is a real thing. It's a real thing. So I think Michael Morales will be able to rock him bad. Rock Sean Brady bad. And I do think that Sean Brady is going to get bloodied up in this fight. And he might be able to get a few takedowns. But Michael Morales is just going to do way more damage. Just because he's such a hard-hitting man. Taller, lankier, able to get the range. Obviously, Sean Brady's going to go in a bit like Khamzat Chimaev, where he just immediately shoots a takedown. Which is what I'm scared of. But if Michael Morales was able to stuff one, it's over for this guy. Michael Morales, money line. I'm going to predict that he takes it by knockout. I want to see Michael Morales win this and get a title shot. And next we have another fight that the team has been fence sitting a lot, but not so much. We're going to go with Zhang Weili by money line over Valentina Shevchenko. I'm sorry. I said money line, but we're going to go with Zhang Weili by decision over Valentina Shevchenko. Shevchenko is old, man. And so is Zhang Weili, but Zhang Weili is a smaller fighter, and she has the speed. So she's got the lighter woman's skill that can transfer over to a higher weight class, meaning she is effectively significantly younger than Valentina Shevchenko because of the accounting for like the age inflation in terms of weight, or rather, weight class. A Zhang Weili moving up weight will feel much better for her, whereas Valentina Shevchenko's been fighting here forever, and she's getting older. So I'm going to say Zhang Weili takes it by decision. Shevchenko is a strong fighter. She's large, but she doesn't have very much over Zhang Weili. Zhang Weili is a very game striker. She's able to get angles. She's very fast. Shevchenko's slowing down as we've seen against Manon Fiorot. We were able to see that, Fiorot could have won that decision, but they gave it to Shevchenko. Zhang Weili, there's not been much like that. there's not been a lot of fights like that, at least as of recent. We have seen her get rocked by Yan Xiaonan, but Xiaonan is a good striker, and she's a quick lady. And Shevchenko, I'm not sure she has that speed anymore. I'm not sure. In the grappling, I think Zhang Weili is going to be able to win because she's a smaller, like a kind of a brick wall of takedown defense, and she's able to scramble really quickly, and she's always looking for a target to hit anytime she's on the ground. Just all the time, just right? As we saw with the fight against Suarez. And Tatiana Suarez is a pretty big lady for a strawweight. And Zhang Weili was able to win in this grappling. Lost one round, but win in the grappling for the most part. And especially, she was just able to the entire time. Whereas Valentina Shevchenko is really okay with just holding a position the entire time. I don't think that works well against Weili. So I think Weili is better in the striking, better in the grappling. Rather, she's better in terms of MMA grappling. So I'm going to say Zhang Weili by decision because I don't see her winning by knockout and I don't see her winning by submission. And next we have our main event. Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena. And surprisingly, the team has not been fence sitting very much about this. We've been saying this for quite a while now. Islam Makhachev will win this fight. We're picking Islam Makhachev money line over Jack Della Maddalena. Islam is a very, very proficient striker, a very good grappler. Jack Della Maddalena is a good boxer. However, Islam Makhachev has fought good boxers, and it looks like he's busted up and beaten up. But I don't think that really matters because he's winning all these fights. Islam Makhachev was having a tough weight cut at 155, and he was still beating every single person. He's a much larger guy. I think he's physically stronger than Jack Della Maddalena. As a grappler, he's just a very powerful man. I think we might see a fight similar to maybe Merab versus O'Malley, where Islam's just going to be able to dictate the pace of the fight. He's on the feet. If Islam slips something and goes for a really good, well-timed takedown, it's over. That's the whole round. Or it could even be submission. Jack Della Maddalena really has to tee off a little bit like Bilal Muhammad. And Bilal Muhammad almost won that fight, by the way. If he held him down for the whole round, Jack Della Maddalena didn't push his hips up and actually just stand up and then start teeing off, he would have lost that fight. Jack Della Maddalena has gotten controlled by people like Basil Hafez, who's not a very good fighter. Islam Makhachev is a gigantic, not gigantic for the welterweight division, but a gigantic lightweight. He's looking huge right now. And especially, he's looking more powerful right now. Islam Makhachev is he's just like, I don't know what Jack Della Maddalena can do on the ground against Islam. It's easy to say, he's just stand up in the way that he did against Bilal. I don't think so. Islam is not Bilal. Islam has a different style. He's got better pace. He can push the pace when he wants. He's got better cardio than Jack Della Maddalena. So I'm going to say Islam Makhachev money line. And I'm just going to say, I won't say this fight is going to be completely one-sided, however. I do think that Jack might take 1 or 2 rounds. But I think it's going to be a pretty definitive Islam Makhachev decision as my prediction. Pick is Islam Makhachev money line. So yeah, that was UFC 322. We are very excited for this card at the Shaga MMA team. We're looking for a home run card. We're looking to win the entire card with our predictions. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.